Hey everybody, this is Brian with Film Direct. I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to demonstrate how to set up a brand new t3170x for film output. This is a film output for screen printing. It's going to eventually do film like this, you know, black and clear monochromatic film for burning screens for screen printing. So it's not for DTF if that's what you're looking for. But anyways, we're going to get this thing set up. Going to get all the ink installed, and then we're going to go into the PrintFab software and get this software dialed and demonstrate how to do high quality black and clear film. So let's get it going. So when you get the printer, it comes with this little quick start guide. Start here. It's going to tell you to unload the printer. Make sure you got Make sure you have all the components that come in the box, inks, paper roll, etc. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to peel all this packing material off. I can't emphasize enough, there's a lot, and you got to make sure you get it all, because otherwise the printer is going to jam and do all kinds of weird stuff. So just take a few minutes and make sure you get all the blue tape and clear everything out. Little styrofoam things, it's all sort of listed here, so it shows you which ones to take off. So just make sure you follow the instructions. So it's got this one right here. You got to pull this little tab out on the inside. So that's how that thing goes. This is an important one. It's on the head. You got to make sure you get this piece of tape to get the head unlocked. Otherwise, it's gonna make a bunch of crazy sounds when you start it up. So make sure you get that one off. Not that bad, but you got to make sure you get all this little styrofoam out. This is what kind of trips people up, is like they'll leave a little piece of styrofoam somewhere in it and it starts grinding things up. So be careful with this stuff. All right, here's the one that you got to get. This one's kind of tricky. You got to pull this tab open, and then there's this piece on the inside here. It locks the cutter in place, so you want to get that thing out. There's the cutter right there. So looks like I got everything. Here's your paper tray. If you're gonna do sheets, you're most likely gonna do rolls. You're gonna use this roll feed right here. So oh, another thing you want to do, and this is like super critical. Sometimes Epson ships these printers like this, with this little piece right here. It's gonna, when you get it, it's gonna look just like that, right? This thing will not print with that piece, this little tan piece, in this position. I don't know why they do that, but I've had a few customers get really hung up on that. So you want to make sure that this thing, you either take it out completely. I mean, you don't want to lose this thing, because if you ever have to transport the printer, that's what's going to keep it from leaking. You want to, they cover up these little vent holes right here. So sometimes when they pack the printer up, they put this little tan thing over the vent holes, and then you can't, it doesn't breathe right. So it needs to be in this position. So that's what it should look like when you get the printer. So let's go ahead and get the ink in this thing, and we'll get it fired up. All right, so we're gonna put the ink in this thing. So it's not a bad idea to put a pair of gloves on when you're handling this ink. It's like a dye-based ink, and it's super opaque, and it'll leave your hands colored in black ink if you get it on there, or your rug, or wherever else. You just be kind of careful when you're using this thing. It's like, these things are pretty mess-free, but occasionally they do drip. So when you get the ink, it's going to look something like this. It's going to come with a special bottle that we sell. And So the bottles come like this. They do have an aluminum cover on the top, so you do want to remove that. The way these things work is I'm going to screw this lid on. You're going to do it till it clicks, and then it's going to stop. So there, that's already ready to roll. Then you're going to go ahead and take this lid off. There's a little adapter right there. That's what's going to go on the printer itself. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing filled up. All right, so this particular printer has 4 slots of ink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of these slots holds about 120 milliliters of ink. Each one of these bottles is 140 milliliters of ink, so it takes roughly 4 bottles to fill this thing. We're going to do an all black ink system on this one, so that because it's for film, so we're just going to load it with all black ink. Another thing to note is you don't want to mix ink with this thing. Like once you put the dye-based ink in it, you don't want to put the pigment-based Epson ink in this thing. You'll absolutely ruin this printer. If you load it with this ink and then go back in the future and put the Epson ink in, this printer's done. So make a note to yourself, if you're not the one running it, if a graphic artist is running or whatever, put a big old note, don't mix the inks, because you will run into trouble. I've seen it a bunch of times, so be careful with that. All right, so let's get this thing loaded. These bottles have a little attachment on it that fit. They're not nozzle specific, they're not color specific, so you can just stick them on the printer. And right now it's sucking the ink into the printer. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, it's starting to fill the thing. So the instructions say you want to take it up to this top line right there. You don't want to take it over that. But this, the way it's designed is the ink should stop pouring into the machine once it hits this top line. But Epson wants you to emphasize that you're not supposed to squeeze the bottle. Like you're not supposed to squeeze it or mess with it when it's actually loading the ink. So just go ahead and let it do its thing. It's going to take like a minute, per bottle or whatever. It'll stop loading the ink when it's done. All right, so the tank is done being filled. It's up to the top line, and the bottle still has a little bit of ink left in it. So we're going to go ahead and pull the bottle off. That's it. That's all you got to do. So we're going to go ahead and do the other 3 slots of ink right now. All right, go ahead and turn on the printer. You don't need to plug it into the computer yet, just plug it into the wall. Choose your language. Just make sure you pulled all the protective parts out. They want to make sure you're not firing this thing up with any of that blue tape and packing material stuck in this thing. So once you're just sure of that, go ahead and hit done. Okay, so basically it's asking me if I loaded the ink, and I'm gonna hit yes, proceed. Yes, the inks are all full. So it's gonna do initializing. So it says it's gonna take 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. All right, so it took about 30 minutes. All the ink is loaded. You can see there's only about half the ink left in the machine, so if you have any ink left over, you can go ahead and top it off now. Going back to LCD, everything's ready to go. We just need to load the film, and then we'll go to the computer, jump on, get the drivers downloaded, and then we're gonna get PrintFab up and going. Then we'll come back and print some film. So as of right now, this printer's ready to go. Actually, you know what? Let's just roll some paper in this thing. So this is the roll. This is probably what you're going to be using for film. I don't really recommend the paper feed too much unless you have to use it, but the roll is going to be a heck of a lot easier to use on this machine. So I'm going to put the phone in that position. Hang on. All right, so this is the paper roll holder. The black end goes on the right, the clear end goes on the left. So this side just comes off like that. Also, it does take a 2-inch core, so a 3-inch core is not going to work on this machine. Here's the film. You want it to come over the front. So it's going to go like that. So that's how it's going to be in the machine, going over the front. You put the black end in first. Put the clear in. Now it's ready to go back in the machine. You're gonna feed the paper into the paper feed, and you're gonna hear it beep. When it beeps, you go ahead and close this. You want to keep this lid closed too. You don't want to drop stuff in there. It's going to ask what kind of paper you're going to do. Roll paper. Just hit OK. And it's going to take a few minutes. It's going to start going through the process of loading the film on the reel. All right, so the film's all loaded. You can see it's on the thing. Plain paper. You can leave the default settings for now. But that's it. This thing's ready to go. So let's jump on the computer, get the drivers installed. We're going to hook this up to the computer via USB. You do not want to hook this thing up via Wi-Fi. It's not going to work. It will kind of work, but you're going to get kind of frustrated because it's going to stall out constantly. So I highly recommend you hook this computer up, or this printer up via Ethernet or USB. Hardwire it, but don't run it via Wi-Fi. We need to install the drivers. So easiest thing to do is go to Google. Epson shear color. Let's see, operating system. I couldn't remember what operating system I'm running. I'm guessing I'm running Sequoia. So pick Sequoia, hit go. Epson shear color. So recommended for you, drivers and utilities combo package installer. So let's just go ahead and download that. Again, you don't want the printer hooked up at this point. You just want the computer doing its thing by itself. So if you hook up the printer right now, like, it could just be using some old version of this driver, and you want the latest version installed. So go ahead and install the download and install this driver before you hook up the printer. Epson drivers, utilities, configuration utility, links, or guides. Yeah, I guess I'll just download everything. Let's see. Okay, so we got the software downloaded and installed. So let's go ahead and start confirm the ink is charged. Yes. printer is hooked up via USB cable. Installation complete, hit close. So that's it as far as the Epson drivers go. Okay. So the printer's installed. I can see it on the deal here. So let's go to PrintFab. And go to download PrintFab Mac OS, other, Film Direct, t3170, download. Okay, so there's two options. There's the 305 and then there's the 2.99. Do this one. This is the better version. This is like the newer, latest, greatest version right here. The 3. Well, it's April 2026, so it's 3.05 is the latest. When you see this and download it, may be different, but do the 3. Whatever it is. Download. Just follow the prompts. If you don't have a key file, just install demo version. So this is the one thing you got to do. You got to do PrintFab Pro XL. If you do any of these other things, you're not going to get the screen printing options available. So make sure it's PrintFab Pro XL. That's the one you want. Okay, so that's install GhostScript. Yes, you do need to install GhostScript, so go ahead and make sure that gets installed. If you don't install GhostScript, you're not going to be able to print any halftone dots, so make sure that gets installed. That's easy enough. Okay, so PrintFab's installed. The drivers are installed, so this thing should be ready to rock and roll. So let's open PrintFab. Where is it? You want to go to the toolbox. And then you're going to add setup printer. This one that's there, it's my other printer, so we're going to do a new printer. Connection. USB 3170. I'm calling this the new version so I can differentiate from my other printer. Okay. There you go. So that's all you have to do in the PrintFab Composer. What you may want to do at some point, maybe we'll just do it right now. So you highlight the printer and then go to, if you want to do custom page sizes, click on sizes, and then see right now I got 17.5, 17 by 7. Let's do another one. Let's do, you got to make sure it's inches. Got 17 inch film in the machine, 17 by 14. I kind of like that size, 17, 14. And then maybe we'll do another one. We'll do 17 by 11. These are just common sizes that I've found work pretty well. And then let's see. For the oversized stuff, we'll do 17 by 22. That should be good for right now. But you can do whatever you want. You can set up as many page sizes as you want. But these are all going to propagate in Illustrator or your art program. So go ahead and hit done. The other options in the PrintFab toolbox are the ink status, sizes, profiles. You're not going to use the profile too much. You could use the toolbox. So inside the toolbox, you got a print test page, nozzle check, clean print heads, align the print heads. So it has some utilities here as well. I really recommend running nozzle checks like at least once a week. Just run a nozzle check. If the pattern looks broken, then run a clean print heads. You want to do this, fairly frequently. It keeps the printer functioning normal, and it'll cause you any headaches. If you just wait until the print looks bad, then you've already waited too long. So you need to catch it before it clogs. So nozzle check, head cleaning when necessary. I do it at least once a week, and that's in the toolbox here in PrintFab. You can do that through the utilities of Epson too, but it's easier to find right here in the toolbox. So that's all the toolbox is going to do. So let's open up Illustrator. I got this little ruler looking thing I'm working on. So let's try to print this thing. So I'm going to do a gradient too. I'm going to do a black box with a, let's see, where's the swatches? Let's do a, where's the gradient? So there's a good gradient right there. So just want to print that out. We'll do a solid box too, why not? What you need to understand, and if you're working in Illustrator and you're going to print through PrintFab, you want to make sure that whatever swatch you use is, let's do color, let's see. There we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. So as long as if you want this thing to print 100% black, see right now, the black's at 70, what is that, 73%, 63, this is going to halftone because the printer thinks that you're trying to print less than 100%. So we're going to bump that all the way up to 100, and we're going to do you can do 100, 100, 100. You can do all these at 100, or you can do them at 0. But you need the black at 100. That's the key to getting solid images on your film. Otherwise, this is going to turn into a bunch of dots. Like if this was like, if you wanted dots, like if you wanted a 54% dot right here, that's how you do it. You do it 100% black, and then you back it down to whatever you want. So that's how you create a halftone if you wanted to. But for this illustration, we're going to set it at 100%. And then we're going to print to the new one. Let's see, there it is. 30 series new. Leave the PPD file alone. Media size, I don't know, this is probably like 5 or 6 inches. Let's see. Let's do 17 by 7. I can do 17 by 5. There you go. So we're going to print this little area right here. Output. We can either do composite or we can do separations. So somewhere in this design is CMYK black. So if I printed this with separations right now, we would have them with 1, 2, 3, 4 different films. I don't want to do that. So let's do composite. Let's see what it does. It should, some of this stuff might halftone, but hopefully that black box at the bottom doesn't. And from there, we're going to go ahead and hit print. It's going to bring up the composer. Don't worry about that. And the composer is where the magic happens. So this is where we're going to set up the profiles and save them. So right here we've got the media size. That's what we chose in Illustrator. Media source, auto select. It's going to print to roll. Don't worry, you really don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Print settings. This is the main and screen printing and maybe this options tab are the only thing you really have to worry about. So for the t3170x, you want to choose, I usually choose matte film. That works pretty good. Matte film. We can change this other stuff later, but we need to print some film first before we do that. The quality, you want to do either 1200 or 2400. Since we're doing halftones, I'm going to do 2400. Okay, so this is where the magic happens for screen printing mode. So we go screen printing, activate screen printing mode, and we're going to ink saturation. So this is how much ink is being put down on the film. So it defaults to 200 all the way up to 400. So because we're using an all black system, we're gonna have to bump this down to like 140 or something. And that's just from my experience. There is a way to calibrate it with using this test page and adjust dot gain. I'm gonna probably save those for another video, but from my experience, you're going to be right around the 140% mark. So when you do the multi-black feature, it's asking you which one of the colors on the printer you want to do. Since we set up all black, we're going to leave all black cartridges setting. You could easily just print from the black if you wanted to, or the cyan, whatever color you want to print from. You can actually turn on and toggle it on and off. For this demonstration, we're going to toggle them all on. Halftoning, we're going to leave it default to let PrintFab assign the halftone dots, which we're going to designate right here. So halftone shape, we'll leave it elliptical. Presets, the 50, that's kind of a fine dot. We'll do 45, and then we'll do angle at 22.5. .5. It's a common angle. Basically, to get this number, you want to divide your screen mesh by 5. So, if you're running 230 mesh screen, you want to use at least a 45 dot. You could do 40. You could do anything lower than 45, but you don't want to go over 45 to keep the ratio intact. If you're going to do a 50 line screen dot, you're going to need at least a 250 mesh screen. So I usually print 45, 22.5. That's a pretty common for screen printing. Apparel, this is like, we're talking about apparel here. Options. The only other thing you may want to turn on and turn off is the print direction. You can go unidirectional or bidirectional. I typically go unidirectional because it prints cleaner. If you do bidirectional, it'll print faster, but sometimes the dots aren't as clean. So print direction, unidirectional. Microwave quality, leave it the default. Platen gap, leave it default. Unless you need a line between each separation, leave that off. Save paper, you can always turn that on. I mean, it's nice to save some film. And then from there, why can't I see it? We need to go new. This is where you save all these settings. So I'm going to do film 2400. I like to put the DPI, what I do the DPI, and then I also do whatever dots I choose. So I choose 45, 22.5, and then sometimes I put the ink saturation as well, so that way I can reference if it looks too light or too dark, then I know what I did. So film 2400, there's your dot size, angle, and then the screen ink saturation. So let's go ahead and hit OK. That thing's ready to print. So let's let this thing print. You can do print and exit. That'll close the program, but if I want to make any changes, I'm going to leave this open. So I'm just going to hit print. It's going to print to the printer, and then we're going to check it out, and then we can come back and make it. All right, so we sent the job to the printer. I'm just going to sit here and film this thing for a second. So you can see time-wise how long it would take to print a 5-inch print at 2400 DPI unidirectional. It's probably one of the slower settings, so I just that way you can kind of reference it for your own I've had a couple people ask how fast these printers are, but this isn't the best example if you're looking for speed, but this is more of like a quality setting. All right. So there's the print. It looks pretty good. It's pretty sharp. All the halftones look great. And the black is black. There's no halftones in the black, so at least this black right here, not this one. So we set it up properly, so it looks pretty good. I'll have to use the densitometer. I get the densitometer out. We can measure the black here in a second. But yeah, for first print, it looks pretty good. Okay, this little device right here is called a densitometer. What you do is you put the film under this little X right there, whatever, and then you click read, and it's going to read the density of the film. So we'll stick the, on the solid part of the film right there in the center, and then we'll hit read. 2.88. So anything over 2 is going to burn fine. So the scale goes from 0 to 4. So I typically like to get it right at 3. It's a little bit under. We could bump up the settings on PrintFab and see if we can get it to 3. So, but this would, I mean, you can see that's a really bright light, and you can barely see it through the thing. So. This is a UV blocking ink, so it's going to block the light out. But yeah, it looks pretty good. We can try another one. See if we can get it darker. Okay, so here is the test page that I just printed out of PrintFab. So basically it's going to go from all the way from 100% all the way down to 400%. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this page and you're going to analyze it. You're going to start looking for where the really small text starts just to fall out, so the text looks better the small text looks better up here than it does down here. So when I put this on the densitometer, right around 200% was right at 3D max. So if I was going to use this setting, I would probably do it somewhere right around in here. I don't think you need to go up past the 200%. 200% is the default setting anyways, So typically when I use the t3170x with our ink, I'll be right in the 140 to probably 160 range, just to keep the clarity of the text and the dots and everything. So but yeah, that's how you do it. You run a test page, and then you can see, you'll see if it starts, a lot of times when you start running at 400%, this ink won't even dry. It'll be wet. It might even be dripping, you know what I mean? So like, that's an out, right? But from my experience, you're going to be right in this area. That's typically where you're going to end up. So that's how you do it. All right, so that's it. That is the 3170X. So it's a pretty straightforward process to get it going. It's like I said, this is what, the 4th or 5th sheet we printed, and it looks like pretty amazing. Like that would absolutely burn perfect, So that's a t3170x using the Film Direct dye black ink, and then the PrintFab RIP software, and then just a standard Epson t3170x. So if you like it, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, this is Brian, filmdirectonline.com is the name of the website. We sell all this stuff. So if you like it, whatever, hit us up. All right, thank you. Take care.